Limnophila Aromatica. What a lovely, lovely stem plant. This is a perfect addition for anybody's aquarium from the middle to the front because this is the mini. If you get the full size Hipporudes or just the full size Limnophila Aromatica, grows with those really bright red tops up to the top of the aquarium, grows quite tall. This is what you're looking for if you want something down by the front or down, in the middle. Don't waste your time with the full-size stuff and trying to keep it small enough. It's just not going to work out that great. Limnophila is a beautiful stem plant from Asia and has been propagated for many, many years by people. People are the ones mainly propagating this over the years. It was brought to the United States somewhere in the 1970s because it is an often used component in Vietnamese cuisine. So it has been propagated by humans for many, many years. There's a lot of information online that you can find about it. One of the things that you'll find about it online is that it is a plant that has been propagated in, rice fields. So this is one of the off-season plants that they grow in the rice fields after the rainy season. So once they've kind of drained those down a little bit or just naturally evaporated, that's when they plant this and use that as their opportunity. So the substrate that you're going to be looking for is something that's a derivative like that. Whether it be Fluval stratum or ADA Amazonia, or even Brightwell carries one now that is a derivative from the rice fields. Those would be great substrates to grow this and make it very easy for you. Fertilizing has been pretty easy for me because I've been using Easy Green from Aquarium Co-op with Easy Iron also. I've been using those two fertilizers. Very easy, and it's doing quite well to grow it. As it does still kind of grow tall, you can see kind of that it does end up with those pink tips under kind of highlight and a little bit of fertilizer. The lights that I have on here are the Fluval 3.0 Fresh and Plant lights. They have done a great job growing this plant, not a problem at all, and I'm pretty happy with the results. As you can see, I got Bucophilandra and Ludwigia and a few other plants in the shot here. They're all doing quite well under those lights. I highly recommend them. If you're trying to grow plants, they seem to be the all-in-one plant light for an aquarium. This plant does grow pretty rapidly, so I would bear in mind to give it enough space so that you can propagate it. It's going to spread. It's going to grow fairly rapidly under these conditions. It doesn't necessarily need CO2. That's one of the interesting things that I would say about this plant is it doesn't need CO2. As I recommend most people out there, get CO2 if it's something that you can do. It's really a worthwhile investment. And it really helps out in times, especially if you kind of forgot fertilizer or maybe the situation isn't optimal for all of your plants. Speaking of optimization of these plants, you are going to keep a little bit lower pH range on these plants because they've been years and years and years propagated in the rice fields out there. So anything over 7.2 is not optimal for the Limnophila because they, as I mentioned, many seasons have gone by where humans have been propagating this plant, and you're most likely going to get one of those that has been propagated by people. So if you decide to go way out of the range and try and do a high pH on this specific plant, I wouldn't recommend it just because it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out as optimally as I think some people would expect. But as I mentioned, it does grow quite rapidly, and one of the things that I was doing with this propagation here is that one of the few stems that I got right out of the gate, I put right down in the front there, and I've been trimming the top off of it and leaving the root in there. Now, the root in there has been sprouting and sprouting and sprouting, and I'm propagating off of that and it's kind of spreading out to fill in the area, which has been working pretty well. I would say that if I had to recommend to anybody out there, it is a worthwhile way to go about that. Let's say you only got a couple of stems like I did. I think I only started out with 3. So one of the original ones I've just left in the substrate and trimmed all the tops off of it and allowed it to continue to send out more, and then trim those and replant them. And it has worked out quite well as a propagation technique. Speaking of propagation techniques, this plant will die off if you allow it to flower. It flowers beautifully and it is majestic. This is one of those plants that isn't really going to recover from having flowered. So I would not encourage flowering, and I would not allow, I wouldn't allow flowering to happen, because you'll end up with a dead, melted off plant that just it basically will have gotten to the point where it just doesn't want to do it anymore. But I'm very happy with this plant, and one of the cool things about it is that it does have this kind of sawtooth texture to the leaves. That's how you're going to be able to kind of identify it. It does have a pretty basic stem that just looks like a stem. It's kind of just a fat little stem, and that part will be very obvious, but the kind of sawtooth to the leaves is what makes it a little bit unique. It's a little different in comparison to the pogostemon varietals and stuff like that have a smooth edge to the leaves. But so if you're looking for a leaf pattern or something like that that is a slightly different, Limnophila is going to be a pretty good one to check out. hopefully this was a helpful video. If it was, do that subscribe nonsense and, hit the like button and send this out to your grandma and all that kind of stuff. And if you have any questions or comments or complaints or anything like that, post them in the link down below, and I'll do my best to get back to you. I think that's it for today. All right. Later? Yeah, I think so. Later.